Well, I guess I got invited back a number of years ago through the sorghum part by winning the National Sorghum Growers Contest. And don't remember all the details. That's how I got involved. Right now, I guess our daughter farms with us, and we farm about 2,000 acres. And so using this program, we've been very helpful. Brandon and I just sitting here talking about what we learned, and it's been we thank everybody for putting this program together and all your sponsors, because it is a great learning tool, even though I've been farming for going on, 50 years. But we can always learn more, and every day. And I like the details that you guys are doing, and it gives us opportunity to jump in and play some of the games, use very common sense, not try to be too drastic, but yet still stay in the production and profitability part. So kind of enjoy working through the program in that way. Some years we've won, some years we haven't. It's not really about the winning so much. It's just about, what can we learn every year is really important. I mean, last year we were all, that top 5 or 6, a lot of times it's very close, and it's just really good to see how little things can really skew it, up and down. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Brandon Rimpley, and then I'm a sales agronomist for Norder Supply, and I've worked with Ron for probably close to 10 years now. 10 years we've worked together. And Ron asked me to be a part of the TAPS program and kind of help out, because I do the nutrient management on the farm as well. And so I got aboard to do that on the side of the TAPS program. And I guess we try to use it that way we're not putting Ron's farm at risk, and we can kind of try some new things on the TAPS program plots, and just kind of fine tune our nutrient management on his farm, learn a few things within this, and then we kind of implement them on the farm on a small scale. And then maybe the following year, it's a larger scale across the farm. So.
Right. Yeah. And I looked back, I think Ron, you joined 4 years ago. I think 2020 was your first year. And then Brandon's been involved for 2 years now. So going back to your operation, Ron, do you have sorghum in your operation now? And is it irrigated or dry land?
We haven't had any sorghum the last couple of years just because of rotations and different things. But yes, it looks like there will probably be some this year in the plans, and it will be dry land this year. So, okay. Yeah, no, it's we just kind of have to work around the rotation of, years of corn, and we do like the sorghum as far as, root mass and, helping with the biomass and the organic matter building. So.
The nutrient management side, like you kind of noted on the soil samples, they did come back pretty high in nitrates. And then so like Ron and I talked, it's, we go out, like on a real world example, we go out and we take soil samples the same way you guys have did. And sometimes you get them back pretty high, and you just have to trust your soil samples. I mean, there's no other way to do that. And so Ron and I had talked, and it's like, we just kind of we got to trust the soil sample, and we got to go with it, because we don't want to be putting too much nitrogen out there where they were. So we dialed our nitrogen way back, and I think we only put on 50 pounds on the irrigated and 35 on the dry land, which honestly, looking at the soil samples, we probably didn't even need to put that out there. But we decided to up our yield goals a little bit. So instead of 145, we upped them to like 200. Just trying to go for the big yields on that, like take advantage of what we had in the soil. And so we've kind of done that in the past on Ron's farm. Is we go take our soil samples, and then we kind of decide from there what we need, and just got to trust them. Sometimes it's kind of hard to do, but we trust them.
We're in there for profit, at the end of the day, and try try to manage it. And Brandon has done an excellent job working with us here on the farm and just doing that. We got, like I said, 9, 10 years of good results here on our farm. So we're trying to, even push it just a little more in this event this year. We like, let's cut a little more and see what we can do. And so that's what it's all about. Yeah, very much. Oh, it's always the most challenging part of the farm is marketing. I was kind of chuckling as I was reading through, the April through November, the marketing part. My goal going into this year was, whenever we marketed here on the farm, I would market there. And the interesting part of this year is we did a huge amount of our marketing on our own farm in January, which turned out really well. But then I wasn't into the marketing mode very often through the season. And Brandon and I, we talked about it a few times, and there were some opportunities in there. Yeah, it does show that how important yield is, but that's what I really like about the program. You put it all together, put the marketing to it also, and with some impressive marketing, things can, little farms can still be pretty profitable if we can, try to work it all together. And so it really brings to our attention how attentive to it we really need to be. It really is important to bring it, on every aspect, just stay attention to the details. Yes, we're going to fail in some areas, but keep picking up and going forward.
Yeah, I mean, when Ron originally asked me on and looking through results and things, I mean, I think in my mind at first it was all about dialing everything back and trying to be as efficient as possible and trying to get, our nitrogen rates down, seeding costs, whatever it is, getting all of our inputs lower. And that was kind of the original thoughts. And then the more I've gone through it, and probably the most eye-opening for me, just seeing all the numbers, because on a day-to-day basis, I just usually work with inputs. I usually never see the full scope of everything with marketing and everything. And looking at this, it's really opened me up to, I mean, at the end of the day, it is all about bushels too. I mean, as much as we want to, and growers want to make sure that we are pinching pennies and saving as much as possible, at the end of the day, it really is about bushels, and it's about raising the most amount of corn you can, or sorghum, or wheat, whatever it is, while being efficient at the same time. You can't just pinch on one side and expect the other to come with it. So there's a happy medium in there, and that's probably, like I said, that's probably been the most eye-opening to me. Is it's you start looking at some of these corn results, and on the efficiency side, the profitability. Those guys are usually pretty high up on the yield side as well. So I mean, it just that's to me is it's just the bushels. It comes down to bushels.
To go along with what Brandon was sharing, it's really made. I really enjoyed having him be a part of this with me, because then when we sit down to do our own last year, I could already see Brandon's like, well, I'm good with backing this up a little bit. I'm good with that, and as a salesman, but his job is to sell, but yet also to keep us profitable. So it's really made it, I feel, it's made us a better team for our farm. And by using the TAPS program to be a part of, the eye-opening experience. And I've got a daughter and son-in-law that are moving back this spring to be a part of the farm here with us. And I got one daughter that's already here farming with us. And it just really hit me this fall. I'm like, well, this is a tool that I want to use to help them come alongside of us and be able to get back into it. They both grew up on farms, of course, but they've been out of the picture for the last 18 years. And okay, here they're ready to jump back in here because they can see mom and dad are getting to a point that they need some help here. So, but we're going to really want to use this. And my wife was like, well, when are they going to have beans up there? We really need something on beans. I was glad to share with her the other day, like, hey, beans are coming next year. So, really appreciate you guys' all your work and all the sponsors. It really is helpful.
It is definitely a tool that can be used in that case too. So
Yeah, it just really hit me because you got all the information here at the end. I really appreciate all the detailed information that, it takes a while to absorb it all, but yet it's there. It's there. Thank you.
great.
Well, I feel we have dialed our nitrogen back a little bit over the last year, already last year some, and things went well. We did good on our own farm, and just really trusting those soil samples, and just kind of otherwise like, oh, we really don't want to. What if we lose yield? Well, let's just look for that fine line.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest one is honestly the nitrogen rates. Using some efficiencies with the way that we, the way that Ron puts it on, or even the way that TAPS is putting it on, where, you're putting on some side dress nitrogen, putting on nitrogen through the pivot, split applying everything, and just starting to take an approach across the farm as far as here's our total our nitrogen needs, this is how we're splitting it up, and trying to figure out what exactly that efficiency is. I mean, you can look, you look at a K-State or UNL Rex, and every company has their own Rex as well, or Ward has their own Rex. And we've kind of used a kind of a modified approach of a little bit of UNL's Rex, a little bit of Ward Rex, some of our own oversupply Rex, and we've taken those and then putting some efficiencies to those split applications, and looking at stress during the growing season. And this year we obviously saw some of that stress on the corn side with the hail, and we had planned some extra nitrogen passes through the pivot. We decided not to apply those. Just using that nitrogen, I guess that's the biggest part that we've used is the nitrogen part.
Okay.
On the irrigated side, with the corn, we have tried to irrigate a little bit to the lower side and try to see how that goes, because we are in the very limited, we're down here in the limited region of the southern tiers of Nebraska. So we have to watch that really close, and we see the challenges of that. So we appreciate being able to experiment a little there too. Yeah. In the corn, we didn't win, but that like I said, that isn't the biggest thing. We were still profitable, and that's the important part of all this, is try to stay in the profitable levels, because we can still live as long as we're in profit. So.
Right. And it's interesting you talk about that, because I looked it up to see, and it looks like you guys were the fourth lowest in cost. And I think a lot of that, of course, you had the same irrigation cost because it was irrigated the same. So your nitrogen really played into that fourth lowest cost. And then you didn't receive an indemnity payment for your insurance on either one. But you were like toward the bottom of revenue. So when you look at the profitability award, it was definitely because of your yield, because you guys had the second highest yield in irrigation, and then you were the highest yield in dry land. So it was definitely those bushels that helped you with profitability.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are things we've talked about over the years, is just balancing it all, and it's every year is different.
Yeah.
The challenges of it all, but it makes it fun. It makes it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think as I haven't talked to Ron, but I assume we're going to do it next. I mean, I think we'll do it again for sure. And yeah, I think there's still more to learn. I mean, we haven't got it all figured out yet. And if there's anybody out there that says they got to figure it out, I want to talk to them. But yeah, we have plenty to learn, and I think we can still continue working on the nitrogen piece, and then continuing to work kind of through that every year, and working on the marketing side too. That's something that I've never been involved in, and it does help me a little bit, and I need to look at that a little bit more myself as well. So I can learn a lot there.
I guess I say in life, I always look for common denominators and, you know, of what we can make better. And, you know, the one common denominator that keeps coming up in this is our fertilizer and the inputs of, you know, focusing on the inputs and just, you know, so yes, going forward, just keep trying to do that on our farm and thank you for being there for us to do some new things and just the eye-opening part of actually, I'm really excited to use this information to help my younger generation come in and just really get a handle on things. It's going to help me in teaching them and help them to get a base under them and to understand the whole picture easier than on our own farm. Something we can do the same thing, but sometimes we get a little too busy and we don't finish up some figuring or whatever, just to, and you guys finish that up for us and we thank you and actually encourage for us to keep doing it on our own farm too, really bring some of those tools. Because we have them, we just need to use them a little bit.
Perfect. Well, I think that's all I had. So unless you guys have anything else to add or any questions, then I think we're done. So,
Well, thank you for your whole team, because I know it takes all of you and it's thank you for all that, all your work.
well, thank you guys for being a part of it. And we're always glad to hear you're getting more out of it every year and still enjoying it. So